You find yourself in a world before roads, before walls, before the first clustered fires. Endless grass stretches from horizon to horizon, brushed with the first breath of pale morning. There are no huts, no fences, no stone piles arranged by careful hands. Not a single path winds through the wet grass. No footprint presses the rich, dark soil. Only faint traces left by herds, too light to mark the earth for long. Mist hangs low, clinging to the riverbank, curling in slow ribbons over silent water. Wind stirs in steady, even pulses, as if the land itself breathes beneath sky. This is the time before cities, before anyone called a single place home. A soft gray canopy spreads above, light only just beginning to color the clouds. No voices drift, no echo of crafted tools tapping wood or bone. The hush settles over everything, wide and complete. Every stone, every fallen branch belongs wholly to itself. This is the quiet before structure, the ease before boundary. One great river glides beneath the thin mist, its banks untouched. Not a single mark along the silt. A faint ripple moves across the surface, then fades. No bridge, no boat, nothing interrupts the steady procession of water. Only the waking call of distant birds rises up, a pale sound too small to trouble the vastness. The world holds you as the river holds the sky, endlessly, without hurry. No pastures cut into plots, no rows of grain forced from the earth. Tall grass bows to the breeze, never flattened for a dwelling. A herd of heavy, steady-moving animals passes through the haze, their presence thin and unbothered. Steam drifts from their bodies, warmth rising in the cool dawn. No fence greets them, nothing herds them, only the silent urge to graze and wander. This silence is not emptiness, but fullness, absence filled with unbroken rhythm. Dew collects in beads on thin leaves, every droplet reflecting the pale blue light. Every branch holds a spider's web, silver-threaded, shining in the wet air. A faint scent of damp earth mixes with distant river water. Your body settles into the rhythm of the ground, heart slowing to match the muted around. Stillness presses from all directions, the gentle weight of endless wild, the hush beneath waking sky. You sense the certainty of cycles slower than any clock, older than memory. Nearby, a fallen log softens into earth, moss growing thick on bark. No axe has bitten this wood, no blade split it for fire. The hush of the land deepens, every sound wrapped in mist. Roots not beneath your resting form, cold but not unfriendly. Tiny seeds nestle in the crook of stone, waiting for warmth that will come later. No imprint marks the gray silt by the water's edge. A single bird calls, then hushed, returns. Pale, wide, unbroken. Far above, clouds are motionless, lingering in pale streaks. A thin pulse of air rustles grass, carries a scent of bruised clover. No trace of smoke, no note of tallow or scorched wood moves through the air. Early insects hover, slow and heavy, finding their way among low stalks. River stones, cool and veined, glimmer beneath the surface, unnoticed by any hand. You are a part of this wide, unclaimed quiet. Distant shapes, long-limbed and heavy-backed, graze at the river bend. Shadows fuse with the unhurried moving mist. Hooves move through muddy ground, leaving only the faintest sign. A low note hums from their throats, calm and endless as stone. This is the world untouched. No lattice, no outline, no claim drawn on soil. Even the air feels gentler, unclaimed by ash or soot. The only warmth comes from the animals, from your own steady presence. The grass bows beneath dew, then rises again. No foot has pressed it down. A memory of warmth from the sun lingers in the earth, just beneath the surface. There is nothing to rush. No distant roofline softens the horizon. Only a line of trees rising gentle and uneven. A woodpecker drums in the far distance, the sound fading before it breaks the still. Moisture beads along every blade, catching the first faint gold. Your hands rest on turf, cool and damp, roots threading between fingers. No urge for shelter, Only the comfort of the skies cover. A light fog edges across the low plain, drifting slowly where the grass is tallest. Each breath carries a clean, faint sweetness, undisturbed by age or fire. Slowly the river shifts, wide and full, light traveling along its mirrored path. A feather floats on the current, turning softly, then disappearing upstream. Nothing interrupts the river's progress from source to sea. No bridge, no crossing, only water making its way through unseen valleys. A cluster of wildflowers opens, faint color blooming against gray-green grass. The scene is still, but not frozen. Everything moves at a pace beyond hurry. Beetles crawl up stalks, vanishing beneath leaves as dew slides into earth. A distant hill rises, smooth and uncut by quarried stone. Wind in the grass sounds almost like breathing, steady, even, unforced. This is the rhythm oldest of all, predating boundary and brick. Even the light seems content to linger, fading without rush along the ground. The air tastes untouched, only river, root, and the green of waking leaves. A fox moves along the far margin, fur darkened by wet grass, tail trailing low. The animal melts into reeds, unseen unless sought for. Every whisper of wind reveals how wide the world is, how loosely it holds you. A flock of small birds wheels overhead, their wings shimmering briefly, then dissolving into distance. No net waits for them, no line to catch their flight. Only pale, open sky. A tang of riverbank mud drifts near, earthy and cold. The sun has not yet claimed the plain, only a faint line above distant trees. Your body lingers on the ground as if the earth is holding you, not demanding you rise. Stillness is everywhere, cradling beast and stone alike. You fit into this hush without thought or action. No rush of voices, nor the creak of wheel or beam, nothing of the future's noise. First faint warmth of sunlight stirs, but does not hurry the land. Somewhere, water drips from a leaf, into stillness. Mist thickens, then slowly releases, thinning above the moving river. You are wrapped in cool air, pale light, grass scent, the softness of untouched ground. There is no memory of cities here, only the slow patience of the unwalled world. The pulse of the land is everywhere, in the tide of grass, the shift of wind, low animal voices. Time seems to lengthen, stretching past the edge of sleep itself. You do not need to rise. You do not need to hurry. Everything moves at its own pace, unforced. Far ahead, the river curves and disappears, its bank lost in thickness of morning mist. You remain, absent of footprint, absent of mark, part of the land's old silent. Not even a trampled stalk reveals your presence here. Every moment widens gently. Mist, grass, distant animals, light, slowly blooming, stillness. Beneath everything, thy oldest rhythm carries through unbroken. Nothing but dawn, time before cities. Nothing but quiet, and the steady, patient world waiting. Moss covers stone, softened by centuries of rain. Roots press into earth, steady and deep. Mist clings to every hollow. Light filters pale beneath the endless green. No footsteps linger here. Only the faint murmur of wind in distant branches. The ground releases the night's coolness, rising gently into the day. Volcanic ridges rest on the horizon. Shadows stretch across untouched valleys. Every hill remembers the lift of mountains and their slow surrender to soil. Above, the sky is wide, colorless save a faint band of blue. Air carries the smell of wet earth, old lichen, damp wood. Somewhere nearby, a single drop falls from a leaf. It lands soundlessly into moss. The pulse of the world is steady, unhurried. stone grinds against stone beneath the surface, unseen. Erosion shapes valleys, hushed and endless, not the work of days, but of ages. Grains of sand drift a little further each year. Moss gathers on the north faces of ancient rocks. The memory of glaciers lingers as cold, pooled in the low places. No voices compete, only the stirring of ferns as a lizard slips past. Light dapples, then fades in the thicket. Insects cross the wet bark, each leaving a pattern too delicate to last. The hush of this place is nearly complete. Nothing but the pale exhale of wind now and then. Each tree rises from layers of fallen leaves, centuries deep. A mild, earthy perfume spreads underfoot. Roots knot and tangle. Steady, patient. Far below, a faint tremor stirs hidden stones. This is the earth's heartbeat, measured in years, not moments. New stone cools under ancient ash, pressed flat by time. Mountains rise almost imperceptibly, then shrink again. Volcanic slopes collect fog on their upper ridges. Tucked between boulders, small pools collect rain. Cold, clear, still. Each pool holds its silence. Dragonflies perch on reeds, wings shining for a heartbeat, then still. Beneath the water, pale shapes slide past, unhurried. Leaves drift in slow circles on silent eddies. On the banks, low ferns hold dew in perfect drops. Fungi bloom unseen in the shadow of a fallen trunk. Bark crumbles along the edges, revealing the soft wood beneath. A line of ants crosses between two stones, vanishing into the leaf litter. Even here, cycles unfold, layer on layer, softly. There are no roads, no fences, just the pattern of growth and decay. The world breathes, endlessly remaking itself. Riverbanks soften, trees lean, moss thickens. Birdsong shimmers through the canopy, faint and far. Sound barely stirs the green hush. You do not need words. This is the language before language. Root, water, breeze, shadow. The ground holds footprints that never formed. Air thickens with the scent of new rain and distant stone. A branch gives under its own weight. Quietly, with no witness, night's chill lingers at the base of tall grasses. A beetle tunnels under bark, careful, unhurried. Mist pools in every low place, bringing softness to every outline. Nothing hurries here. Time slides unseen, reshaping everything. The old mountain's shadow falls across the plain. Its black profile stretches longer as the sun lowers, patient as stone itself. Even its shape changes by the smallest degree, season by season. Ridges wear thin, gullies deepen, then fill. You sense the measured working of rain on rock, above, below, across miles. Once, this land was ocean. Once, it was scorched by fire and blanketed in thick ice. Everything here remembers without words. Every grain of sand once belonged to a different mountain. Pine needles gather along the edge of a shallow pool. A pale mosaic, green and brown, floating quietly. The air holds the faint primal sweetness of rotting leaves. The only tension is the patient draw of root through soil. Some rocks press together along old fault lines, unmoved for 1,000 lifetimes. A single cricket vibrates beneath a fallen branch. Sound spreads softly, then is lost in the silent beyond. Water gathers, seeps into low crevices, shaping stone from within. Nothing here fades fast. Under the canopy, the air is cool, heavy, with the scent of moss. Dew beads along the edge of a shaded fern. Shadows blend, forming gentle shapes across the ground. Somewhere far off, a distant rumble, barely felt, passes through layers of earth. This is the planet's slow exhale. Beneath it all, cycles begin again. Always patient, always silent. Your presence settles within this old rhythm. There are no boundaries but those nature unravels herself. Between tree and stone, air and water, every edge softens. A bird glides under the boughs, wings hardly moving, vanishing into the mild green dusk. Fungi glow faintly under rotting logs, marking time in pale halos. The hum of life is diffuse, woven into each drop, each thicket. Across the ages, Earth's ancient pulse gathers everything to itself. You are part of it. Grains of soil, breath of mist, hush of growing root. Stillness is carried through you, nothing to name, nothing lost. All that matters is the gradual, ongoing tide. The world reshapes beneath the sky, unchanged for eons. Under these wide branches, the only motion is Earth's quiet heartbeat. And something old and wordless passing through you too. Somewhere in the endless rhythm, something faint stirs. Not a voice, not a call, just a steady unfolding in the murk. The world holds its breath. Warm shallows rock beneath a tired sun. Beneath that light, tiny filaments gather and lengthen in still water. The old stones at the shore are covered with a wet film, soft green, almost nothing at all. These first threads are gentle, barely there. They do not hurry. They stretch and ease outward with the tide, inch by slow inch. Salt and mineral drift past, lending themselves to beginnings. No eye to see them, only the unhurried, thin hush of growth. A pale haze floats beneath the wave's gentle crest. Everything here relies on patience. Nothing pushes. Everything waits for the warmth to linger and begins again. In the shadow of the rocks, small bubbles rise, fading into pale air. Each one a memory of hidden life. Cool slip of current passes lazily over rough stone. It leaves small gatherings behind, clustered within a ripple, secret and silent. On the windless surface, a faint circle of green spreads beside the sand. This is not a forest, not yet, just silent promise in the light. Roots are not born, only traces cling to cracks in the stone. Far from here, rain falls, disappearing into the wide ocean, dissolving into possibility. The first lives embrace the warm, shallow pools. They cling quietly, drifting without destination, faint but certain. Something within begins to divide, gradual and unhurried. Each split a story, wordless and minute. Time is no barrier here. Life presses forward in secret. Salt settles on the tongue of the shore. Warmth gathers, then fades, always returning. Small beginnings grow away from any watcher's gaze. A single tendril leans toward the sun. The light does not change. The tendril only persists within it. The air tastes slightly richer with every new breath. No sound except the tiny, ongoing song of the tide. A thread of green drifts free, carried a little farther from home. The patterns repeat. Divide, rest, drift, nestle back into silt. Each moment stretches, seldom noticed by any eye. Stillness remains the strongest thing of all. On the smooth side of an ancient rock, a thin film grows, pale against the darker stone. Each layer stacks itself slowly, almost invisible, held in place by the memory of moisture. Warm water laps at the edge, reshaping the old lines by a fraction. A tiny haze on the water, green, dim, adapted perfectly to the hushed world. Sun drifts along its back, warming it just enough to start again. Each dawn, the first pale growth clings, warming in the shallows. Some molecules drift free, riding shallow ripples to a new patch of light. Roots do not seek, they simply anchor where the tide is kindest. Between stone ridges, a handful of soft shapes gather together, uncounted. Every edge is blurred by the slow passing of water. The first threads weave into mats, making new space for the next morning's light. A memory of warmth moves from rock to water, never pale, never sudden. Among the grains beneath the surface, something shifts, a cluster barely thicker than mist. Gradual persistence is all that matters, anchoring, letting go, reforming without effort. From this patient quiet, more forms appear. A circle, a rod, a coil, endlessly varied. A faint sunbeam lies across the tide pool, still as it touches a new edge of life. Inside each cell, the story is only beginning. Membranes open, let in water, close, begin anew. Not all survive, but loss is gentle here, a dusting on the surface, gone with the next tide. A faint trace remains on the sand, then is forgotten. Far from sight, the same process unfolds millions of times across years without names. Every new spark is an echo of the last. The sea's breath carries them all. Woven mats thicken along the rocks, layer upon layer. So little changes, but each day brings more silent life. A tide lifts them gently, then lets them settle again. The old rock remembers every touch. Ripples move through the shallows, soft, carrying traces of this earliest green. Colors mix, not bright, just pale olive, faint umber, a haze over the flat tide pool. silt gathers where the water is stillest, holding the beginning safe from the open sea. Here, existence is patient and silent. Small beginnings ripple outward, carried by water, shaped by light, tempered by stone. Patterns of living form then dissolve, never vanishing, only shifting to a different pace. Each motion is as steady as Earth's oldest heartbeat. In these shallow pools, the first life meets the tidal rhythm. Gentle beginnings, multiplying into tomorrow, already pulsing through the ancient quiet. Long before any city's outline could darken the horizon, the wide land remains empty. Nothing interrupts the line where sky meets earth. Above, stars settle in loose gatherings, uncounted, unbroken by walls or firelight. Every sound comes from wind, from grass, from the slow creak of cooling stones. No hearth glows here, no roof gathers smoke. A span of still ground stretches out, rug of wild grass under the night's deep hush. Dusk lingers. Beneath the pale twilight, your body rests on earth, unchanged since dawn's first light. Grainy warmth from a flat stone presses gently against your side. The scent of moss and damp earth quiets even the faint memory of labor. No tool lies near, no trace of old camp or fence. The ground keeps only the marks of water and roots. Above, the sky's color deepens to velvet blue, endless patches glittering. No tower, no roof line rises to catch the night's breeze. The air moves slowly, bending long grasses in silvery waves. Small insects hum occasionally, their muted song blending into the dim breeze. No human shouts travel here, only a sighing wind. The world holds its ancient shape, unchanged by clever hands. Your breathing slows, chest rising in the hush, bones relaxing into the uneven ground. There is no hurry. Empty fields shimmer under frost-touched starlight, no path cut by foot or cartwheel. A low cool settles in pockets beside scattered stones. Long ago, even before the idea of city or home, the land was full only with its own living. Fern fronds uncurl, dew glinting at their edges. Your hand rests lightly on thick grass, the blades cool and alive beneath your palm. Movement eases into stillness, gentle and unforced. Here, the earth welcomes no rush or plan. Mild calls of birds, distant, fold in with the darkness. No torch glows on any shore. The air carries the faintest trace of sweet petrichor. Nothing tugs, nothing pulls you onward. The world's rhythm carries you, steady and unchanging. A still invitation rests in the shape of each hill, in every patient tree. You are not expected to build or to fill this space. Only the land breathing with you. Nothing is missing. Each breath softens, matched to the measured pattern of night settling. Time here does not gather or run away. Pools, gentle as water cupped in your palm. Long shadows stretch from the roots outward, dissolving into open ground. No hurry presses, no task waits under thatch or stone. The emptiness is not cold or forsaken. It is ease, a space made for the body's release, the mind's loosening. Old stones, rounded by 10,000 rains, gather subtle warmth. A sliver of moon floats, smudged behind thin, drifting cloud. Silent, the land keeps you company. This hush feels both endless and close. Even small plants seem to exhale in the cool air. You become part of the silent company, stretched between dark and earth. Everything that grows does so without urgency. Nothing demands your name. The ancient quiet accepts you as sandstone accepts slow rain. Here, the stillness is heavy and kind. You have no map, no need for direction. Grass brushes your wrist, cool and even. Faint click sounds where a pebble cools near your resting foot. No lamp is lit. Instead, the sky's pale sweep grows wider, every star in its place. Human wants fade, replaced by steady comfort. A memory of city light comes, then recedes like a pebble sinking in a pond. You sense an easy permission at the edge of sleep to let each muscle soften into the ground, to stay here, matched with the night's measured pattern, without city, without hearth, without clock or gate. Only the earth, the grasses, and the turning sky. A long exhale dissolves into darkness. Your presence, small and gentle in the fold of wild land. Accepted, unhurried, free from the outline of any city. Stillness remains. The earth presses its slow comfort close. Nothing left to reach or gather. Only the hush, the old stone, the breath of endless night. Night gathers you in its unbroken still. The cool presses gently against your back. Grasses fold softly beside your skin. Breath shallow, without weight or effort. Stillness in the hollow of your chest. The gradual night hums a single note. The outline of stone fades from touch. A gentle ache lifts, then disappears. No fire glows, no hands shape earth. Only your pulse, faint beneath bone. Shadows ripple undisturbed across the ground. world's edge slips from your mind. Darkness, easy as closing eyes. Every thought softens, then floats away. The horizon grows pale, then blurs. Each memory dim, lighter than air. The old ache of walking falls behind. Even your body's need sinks into the dusk. Silent earth beneath, holding, not asking. Nothing remains to stir. Head sinks further into warmth. Limbs empty of effort unwind. A hush gathers at the base of the skull. The air turns cool, sweet, and thin. Your heart's rhythm becomes the only measure. Name and history dissolve. The world's old ache melts away. No trace, only a softening outline. The skin loosens, muted over bone. The weightless feeling spreads along your arms. Stillness deepening past the body's edges. Faint shimmer where time used to rest. Stars thin, blending with black sky. No memory of cities left in the dark. The ache of distance forgotten in your chest. Every sense slows, dims, vanishes. Only the dark beneath lashes. Hunger and hope both drift outward. Earth's low song, softer than water. Thoughts break apart like dew at dawn. Even the feeling of breath eases. Warmth pooled around your curled form. Sky, featureless, heavy, eternal. No faces, no voices remain. Silence thickens into ancient quiet. Stillness, patient and whole, fills the air. whose strands of time trickle away. Every old story falls, dissolving. The need to move. Nothing left to hold. A wave of emptiness, gentle and wide. Body floats free, unmarked. Each muscle slackens, undemanding. Haze of dusk blurs the wide night. Distance grows thin, loses meaning. The sense of before now gone. No boundary between skin and ground. Drifting, endless as grass upon still earth. The last shape lingers, then softens away. Your body rests, uncounted within the hushed that came before cities. Weightless breath, whose spine, distant stars, nothing waiting. Not even silence now. Just the comfort of letting go. The world around you grows still now. The world around you grows quiet now. Everything is still. Everything is quiet. Nothing calls you anymore. Nothing remains to follow. Only the quiet rhythm of your breath. Slow and steady and gently.